What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back to my banner review series for Fire Emblem Heroes. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Brave Redux Banner, which features Owain, Loki and Kliff, and these are the topics I'm going to be discussing in this video. And apologies for the late upload of this review. I was really hoping to upload this early, but I got busy with some college work, but still, here it is, and let us begin.
Sword Hand hungers!
Owain is a sword infantry unit with pretty good speed, and overall he has got really good stat line. Reminds me of a certain swordswoman who was released exactly a year ago, and thankfully Owain does not have any sort of super banes. He also does not have any sort of super boon, but that's completely fine, and he's kind of IV proof. Even if you get minus attack or minus speed, he can still function in the enemy phase. So in my opinion, whatever IVs you get with him, he's still gonna be pretty good unit. And he comes with Mistletoe, his legendary weapon, and this does give him -1 cooldown and gives him extra special cooldown on every time he takes an attack from the foe. So this is kind of like reverse heavy blade, but not really. It's really hard to compare this skill to anything else because we don't really have anything like that in the game, which only gives you special cooldown on enemies hit. This effect is really nice because it lets him retaliate back with Blue Flame instantly whenever he gets hit in the enemy phase, and that makes him a really good enemy phase unit. And he comes with Blue Flame, a new special which is 3-turn cooldown, but because of Mistletoe it is 2-turn cooldown. This is actually an inheritable special, and it doesn't really do true damage or like flat damage, kind of like Vodao or Wrath. So it does boost your damage by 10, and if he's adjacent to an ally, then it boosts his damage output by 25 instead. So it does require you to be near your allies, which is pretty easy for a lot of the enemy phase units to do. Units who have got Owl Tome or units who use a lot of drives and spur skills can easily use this effect, and teleportation skills are of course really nice as well. And this is a really strong special overall. Owain doesn't have the highest attack, so it definitely helps him with his damage output, and he has got attack defense bond as a slot A skill, synergizes really well with his Blue Flame and does give him more attack and more defense. And he comes with Wrath as a slot B. Wrath doesn't really do all that much for him other than giving him the +10 damage output, because Blue Flame is a 2-turn cooldown special. When he's in the range of Wrath, it will only get reduced to 1, and unless you stall out another turn to charge up your Blue Flame, it's not really going to be all that much useful other than just doing the 10 extra damage. And finally, he has got Spur Speed Defense, pretty decent skill because he does require to be near his allies, and in that case a Spur skill is really good. As I said, he's pretty much IV proof like a lot of the top tier units, but obviously for his best boon you have to go with speed, and his best bane is certainly resistance. And attack boon is also really nice, but speed is really nice for better player phase. And if you compare him to Ira will always have more speed because her preferred weapon gives her +3 speed, and if you run Sling Edge you will be refining for speed. And Wrath does more for Ira as a skill because she can have Regnalastra charged up instantly with Wrath if she runs Sling Edge, which pretty much all of them do. And Ira can trigger Regnalastra twice in the player phase with her Wrath build, which Owain cannot really do unless he has got Blue Flame fully charged up from the beginning by stalling out a turn with Wrath. And triggering Wrath boosted Regnalastra twice will outdamage Owain's Blue Flame that triggers only once in player phase. And Owain needs to be near an ally, and Ira doesn't really have that condition, so she will be a much scarier unit to face in arena as an enemy. And overall they are both really good units and they are top tier units, but Ira is slightly better because of having better mixed phase. And if you get multiple copies of Owain, you should definitely fodder him off for Blue Flame because it's his most coveted skill. And Blue Flame is a very strong special because it will outdamage all other 3-turn cooldown specials most of the time. Like, you need to have 50 defense or 50 resistance to get 25 damage output out of Bonfire or Iceberg respectively, and you need to have 84 attack to get 25 damage out of Draconic Aura. And Luna is pretty inconsistent because it depends on the stats of your enemy. So Blue Flame is a very strong special, and it does have same SP cost as Ether and Gale Force at 500 SP, so it is extremely good for arena scoring. So let's take a look at some of the good recipients of Blue Flame, and these are just few examples. So the first ones are pretty no-brainer. You do need them to kill so that you can get the bonus kills in arena, and anything that helps them with that is absolutely amazing. Not to mention, this is really good for arena scoring, so Blue Flame on Asuka Trio is really nice. Alphonse is not really all that good user of Gale Force, and he usually runs Ether, which is kind of conflicting with his Brazen Refine and his slot A Brazen skill if you do run that. So Blue Flame is pretty perfect for him, and with Wrath you could obviously just stall out a few turns and have Blue Flame charged up and absolutely nuke something with his massive attack. And Sharina does use Bonds, so Bond skills are really good with Blue Flame because it does require you to be near an ally. Anna's Noah turn has got the teleportation skill, so you can pair that up with a Bond skill in slot A and have Blue Flame, so it could definitely help someone like Anna a lot more in getting the kills because she doesn't really have the best attack. And then we have got units with the Vodao Refine, and Michaelis is missing from here because he can run Ignis, and that is more damaging than Blue Flame, and he's pretty slow, so he can proc that in a single round. So we have got Karel, Fear, and Minerva. All of them can use Blue Flame really well. And Minerva can use the Flyer Formation skill on a Fire Emblem team. And then we've got units who run Owl Tomes, and Owl Tome units do require to be near an ally, which is perfect with Blue Flame. And then we've got mages who have got a -1 cooldown thanks to their tomes, and Blue Flame does become a 2-turn cooldown special, which allows you to abuse that with Special Spiral with Ophelia. And Merrick definitely appreciates that because he does not have a very high attack, so he can run a close counter build, and it does go well with his Bond Refine. Sheeta doesn't have very high attack, and she can easily proc Blue Flame in a single round. And Flyer Formation is a Sacred Seal which you could easily use on these flying units to comply with the Blue Flame's condition.
Fight, Mistletoe!
Owain's first build is a budget set, and all you need to do is give him Swap and have something like Close Defense or Darting Stance as a Sacred Seal, and it's pretty easy set to make. His second build is also another budget build, and it does have double Brazen skills, so this gives him amazing damage output, and it does synergize really well with Wrath, and it also makes him pretty decently bulky. And his third build is more expensive, so with the help of Mistletoe, he can definitely run some higher cooldown specials like Ether pretty comfortably. So you could run Special Spiral and make Ether a 2-turn cooldown special once you activate it, and using this he can instantly retaliate back with Ether, and this is going to give him really good survivability. Fourth build also uses Ether, and it basically tries to use the fact that Mistletoe gives him +1 cooldown when an enemy hits you, and you can run a Blade Sacred Seal like Flashing Blade or Heavy Blade, so that you get the +1 cooldown when you land the hit on the enemy. So this pretty much gives him a pseudo breath effect that's active in both phases, which is really amazing. And using this skill he can proc Ether in a single round in both phases if he doubles the enemy. His fifth build is more of a player phase build with Desperation and Attack Speed Bond. The Bond skill does synergize well with Blue Flame, and using Flashing Blade he could trigger Blue Flame when he's in the Desperation range because it is a 2-turn cooldown special. And his final build is the standard distant counter build that you see on Ira, and you could certainly use someone like a Versa to increase his resistance even more with something like Odd Res Wave. And there are not a lot of range units who can take a Blue Flame to their face, especially if it's Wrath boosted. And you can easily run something like Even Defense Wave to increase his defense if that's something you want to go with, and you do not want to fodder off your Versa, and it's definitely a very expensive build.
Don't be such a Tobin.
Kliff is a very fast blue mage with good mixed bulk, but he does have low base attack at 30, which is actually useful with his Sagittarius Tome, and his stat line overall gives him a pretty unique playstyle with his preferred weapon. And just like how Tony Stark is cursed with knowledge, our boy Kliff is cursed with Super Banes. He has got 3 Super Banes, which is so insane. And all of them are pretty bad for him because a unit like him doesn't really have a clean dumb stat on his stat line, and he uses all of his stats. So Speed Super Bane is absolutely the worst one because speed is his biggest asset, and bringing his speed down to 33 is definitely going to be hurting a lot. Even with Sagittarius effect, you're only going to be able to hit 38 speed, which is not really a lot to double things. And minus HP Super Bane is definitely the second worst one after speed. It does affect his overall bulk, and defense is not as bad as the other 2 Super Banes, but still it can be annoying if you want to run a close counter build. He has got 157 BST, which is highest for any infantry mage in the game as of right now, because he does get the trainee bonus. He comes with Sagittarius, the arrow spell, which did have 3 range in Shadows of Valentia. But in this game, its effect is completely different. So it gives Kliff +3 defense, and at start of combat, if he has got 5 less attack than the enemy, then he gets +5 to all of his stats during the combat. So that's why Kliff's low base attack is actually pretty good. With this 30 base attack and a legendary tome, he ends up at 44 attack, and if he reduces attack by 2 from his slot A skill, he ends up at 42 attack. And it's really easy to trigger this condition against a lot of the units in the game who have got much higher attack, and Sagittarius Tome does make him scale pretty good against these inflated units and stuff like Abyssal Maps, Blessed Gardens, and stuff like that, because units are definitely going to be having more attack than him. But the thing is that because of his high speed and good bulk, he can actually keep up with these kinds of inflated units even though his raw attack isn't really all that high. Another thing to note is that Sagittarius only counts the visible attack he has got, so it doesn't really count the in-combat buffs. So you could easily stack up stuff like drive attack, spur attack on him, and even run skills like Swift Sparrow or Brazen skills because they do give you the in-combat buff. So you could easily run those, but definitely try to keep him away from stuff like Hone Attack, Attack Tactic, or any kind of wave or link skill which increases his attack. So he's definitely allergic to those kinds of skills which can increase his visible attack. He's completely fine by having any skills on him or on his allies that can increase his attack during the combat invisibly, and his special is Growing Light, which is not really all that good. It's actually a pretty bad special for him because it calculates the damage based on his visible attack, and his visible attack isn't really all that high. It doesn't really count in combat buffs from stuff like drive attack or brazen skills, so it's not really a very good special. You're much better off running something like Iceberg or Bonfire on him. And his slot A skill is Fortress Defense Res, so this is actually a 300 SP skill. It is supposed to be having this really ugly golden border, but right now, as of making this video, they have got some kind of glitch or error where they do not have this border on this skill. So this does have the 300 SP cost, meaning that it scores really well in arena. So you could definitely go with this skill over Distant Counter or something like Deathblow 4 for increasing your arena score. And this gives you +6 defense and +6 res while only decreasing -2 attack. And units with good mixed bulk can easily use it, and it does increase your resistance visibly, unlike distant or close defense. So you can actually run ploys pretty well with this. And his slot B skill is Shield Speed. He's so fast that he's able to make amazing use of this shield speed and also provide this utility to his teammates. Finally, he has got Fortify Res, which is such a random and underwhelming skill. On a unit like him, they could have definitely given him something like Odd Defense Wave or something premium like that. But in any case, that's his base kit. And overall, he's a really fun unit to use. It's not really overpowered. Far from it, actually. There are definitely other blue mages who can hit much harder and do much better offensive role. But he's really fun as a fast unit who has got pretty good bulk. For his IV speed is the best boon for him, and resistance is the best bane because it doesn't really have a super bane, although minus resistance will affect his plowing capabilities. And minus attack isn't really all that bad of a bane, but I wouldn't really recommend you to pick this over some other bane because even with neutral attack, he is having pretty low attack for triggering his Sagittarius Tome's effect, so you don't really have to go out of your way to pick a minus attack IV, but if you get it, then you could definitely salvage that as well. If you get multiple copies of Kliff, you could definitely fodder him off for Fortress Defense Res. It's his most coveted skill and scores really well in arena. You could definitely run this on your +10 merge units and units who have got really good mixed bulk. So stuff like Sheena, Beruka, and Azama make really good recipient of this. Beruka can actually run attack ploy and have massive defense, and even run Dorcas's axe to basically have the guard effect, and even Sheena can do that and be a pretty good wall. But the thing is that this skill does have a lot of competition with other premium skills like Breaths and Distant Counter. But if you don't really care about those skills and you just want to focus on increasing your bulk, then you could definitely run this on the slot A. And of course, because armor units have got min-max stats and they've got really good bulk, they can easily run this. A really good example of this is Legendary Tiki with plus speed IV. You could run this on her slot A. She already has resistant counter built into her weapon, and you could run Special Fighter to get the guard effect. And Halloween Mer does need the defense for her Spirit Breath activation, and this skill does function in both phases, so that's really good, and she can also make use of attack ploy. And finally, we have got Grima. A lot of units who have got really high attack can easily run this skill because -2 attack isn't really all that big of a detriment to them.
Get out of here!
His first build is a budget build, and you definitely want to replace his Fortify Res with something useful like Attack Smoke, and you want to have Iceberg. Flashing Blade does let you trigger Iceberg in one combat if the enemy can counter-attack, and you can double them. And his second build is also another budget build. As I said, Sagittarius Tome does not count in combat buffs from skills like Brazen Skills, so these skills are really good for increasing his attack indirectly, and Resistance Ploy can also be run for Slotsy, but it's definitely an expensive option. And you could use this build to salvage a minus attack or a minus speed IV Kliff if you do not want to spend a lot of resources on him, so you could definitely do that. His third build is a double Brazen skill set, and you can easily use a 5-star Linus for Brazen attack and speed, and run Brazen attack resistance as a sacred seal, and he can reach massive amounts of attack and speed using the skill set, and it also gives him a lot of damage from Iceberg because of the Brazen attack res. The only problem you run into while running any kind of Brazen skill for Slotty is that you are definitely having the opportunity cost, because that unit will not be having its full power unless he reaches the range of that skill. And his fourth build is using Swift Sparrow. As I said, in combat buffs like Swift Sparrow don't really affect his Sagittarius Tome's effect condition, and you can trigger Moonbow even when you are in the desperation range, and you would definitely need to provide some more spur speed and drive speed support to him so that he can reliably double and trigger his Flashing Blade. And his final build is a very expensive build using Close Counter. So Kliff has got best mixed bulk out of any blue mage as of right now, and the Sagittarius Tome's effect is definitely really helpful. The fact that he has got really high speed does translate into his bulk because he will not really get all that much doubled unless you're facing some broken Bolt Fighter units. And Speed Wrestling does give him the speed and resistance buff, and even Defense Wave does give him self-sufficiency, and because he has got such a high speed, he could easily use Flashing Blade and trigger Iceberg in one round, and you could even run Ether for better self-sustainability.
I'll show you paradise!
Loki has got the second best offensive stat line for a healer after Brave Veronica, and for an infantry healer, she definitely has the best offensive stat line. She also has really good HP, which is needed for her preferred weapon. As for her IVs, speed, attack, and HP are all good boons for her, and defense and resistance are amazing banes for her. Defense is a super bane, but it doesn't really affect her all that much because it's already so low. She comes with her legendary staff, which does have Wrathful Staff built into it, but I would have really liked if it had Dazzling Staff instead, because the staff skills for Slot B are locked to 5-star exclusive units. Being able to avoid counterattacks is definitely much more useful than having more damage with Wrathful Staff built in. She also has a Gravity Ploy sort of effect in her staff, and it does require her to have 3 more HP than the foe to have this effect on them. So using this, she can basically have the gravity status on these range units from a distance, which is going to be really useful if you are in the score range where you face a lot of Brave Veronica, Reinhardt, and Brave Lynn. And there, in Arena Assault, Loki can be really useful to you. But if you're in the score range where you face a lot of armor units and dragon units, and she will not be able to have any sort of effect on them. But because of the dual skills, we are seeing definitely some more range units in Arena. Stuff like plus 10 Merge Sorin, and of course the plus 10 Merge Healers that are going to be coming out in Arena with this new dual skill that she brings. So against them, she can definitely have this effect. And you could definitely increase her HP by giving her a Blessing and running some HP Seal and her Sacred Seal. And there are not a lot of range units who can avoid this effect except for few like Varian, Henry, or a plus 10 Merrick. Stuff like that, but those are really rare. And against most of the range units who are not inflated, she will be able to have this effect on them. But the problem is that a lot of in-game content has got inflated HP units, and against those kinds of units, these kinds of effects are really bad and just are dead pretty much. And then she's got Restore Plus as her healing assist skill. This is definitely relevant for Arena because we have a lot of ploy skills, a lot of chill skills going around. So this can definitely help you get rid of that, and even the panic status from something like Panic Ploy from the really high HP armor and dragon units. And her special is Earth Water Bomb, which is a counterpart to Veronica's Windfire Bomb, and it does give you plus 6 defense and plus 6 res for one turn. And she already comes with auto attack waves, so she can boost up 3 stats of an ally by plus 6, which is definitely really useful. Her slotty skill is Infantry Dual Skill for colorless units, and this is definitely going to be useful for arena. It basically brings up the BST of your colorless infantry unit to 170 without counting the merges, and that is going to be really useful for this cheerleader metagame that we have got. And overall, Loki is a very powerful staff unit with amazing stat line, but the problem is that her weapon is definitely situational, and for a lot of the in-game content it will not be able to work out because of the inflated HP. And if you do not have any sort of range unit on the map, basically becomes a 14 might colorless tome. If you get multiple copies of Loki, you definitely want to fodder her off for colorless infantry duel, and you definitely want to put this on units who have got plus 10 merge so that they can score even better in arena, and you could definitely optimize their skill set for that. And here are some good recipients of that skill. So first of all, we have got Soth and Felicia. These units are common, and Soth is present in the 4-star pool while Felicia is present in the 3-star and 4-star pool, and because of their legendary daggers, they can score better than the other dagger units who don't have a preferred weapon. And you could basically run Windsweep on them and have a support Sacred Seal and a support Slotsy skill. Felicia is able to use double ploys, which is really useful. With Peshkats, you're able to buff up your foes and debuff your enemies at the same time. Its utility is so amazing. So Soth is definitely a fantastic user of this skill, and Felicia with her Felicia's Plate can do pretty good damage to a lot of these units who have got pretty high defense but low resistance. Someone like Zelgius pretty much, but still her damage output is not really going to be that stellar with her attack, and you definitely want to have dual ploys on her for utility. And then we have got healers. Now healers have got unparalleled utility when it comes to cheerleading because they can heal up your units, they can provide the bomb buff, they can also provide the ploy debuffs, and of course give the chip damage with something like Pain Plus, or even have some other staff for more utility. So Lucius, Maria, and Sarah are basically the best healers for this colorless infantry dual skill because they have got good speed and they also have good resistance to run ploys. And the reason why I've got Savage Blow Slotsy skill on Lucius is because it doesn't really affect his arena score even if you run a higher scoring skill, so Savage Blow definitely goes well with Pain Plus. You definitely have a lot of options to run on slot B. You could run Wrathful Staff, or you could run Guard, or even Chill Defense. And for the assist skill, you could run Restore Plus or Recover Plus. And of course you can use Pain Plus, which is the easiest option to get, or you could just have a Halloween Mia sacrificed for the Witchy Wand, which is going to be helping you a lot. And healers are by far the best cheerleaders, and you could also run this skill on some other dagger units like Legalt and Kaze, and have Smoke Dagger for the debuff utility. And you can also run someone like Riss actually. He can score 170 BST, which is pretty insane. He does have fantastic resistance, so you could make use of double ploys with him. And finally, we have got some non-free-to-play options. These units are 5-star exclusives, and it's going to be really hard for a lot of the players to have them at plus 10 merge, but these are still some options. Jafar is absolutely amazing with his Deathly Dagger. He can run Windsweep, and he already cannot be counter-attacked by mages. Innes is also amazing because just like Jafar, he cannot get counter-attacked by tomes and also from dragons, and he can just run Windsweep to avoid counter-attacks from armor units who have got distant counter, run double ploys, and you can also have a dancer like Performing Arts Olivia with Smoke Dagger for utility, and of course have the dance.
Come with me to your grave.
These are some of the budget builds for Loki. You could definitely have Live to Serve on slot B and have speed +3, or you could have Wings of Mercy and have Live to Serve Sacred Seal. These builds are really easy to make with her preferred weapon. And then we have got a high investment build with her preferred weapon. So you want to have Dazzling Staff as her slot B skill. That is definitely the perfect option for her. And you could run HP +5 Sacred Seal and have Panic Ploy to make use of her fantastic HP. And as I said, Blessings is definitely amazing on a unit like Loki. And using this, she can have the Panic Ploy debuff and even the Gravity Ploy effect against these range units. And for the game modes which have got inflated units, her preferred weapon definitely doesn't cut it. So you could run Pain Plus or have Gravity Plus, and of course run different slot B skills like Speed +3, Attack Speed Bond, or even have Attack Speed Solo. It just depends on the fodder units you've got. So that is going to be it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please be sure to leave a like and share this video with your friends who are trying to build up these units. And if you haven't already, then make sure to subscribe for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.